Hey, taxpayers. So I went to YCS Pittsburgh recently, and I did not do that great in the grand scheme of things. Day two, but I didn't top, I didn't even bubble. I was out by round 11, but I was still pretty proud of the result because it was my first YCS. I had a good time. I enjoyed the deck I played. Matches were fun, and I went deeper than I ever expected I would. Um, But when I posted that tweet, I included a picture of what I was playing, Brandon Mitsurugi, and a lot of people were kind of shocked by that. A lot of people were very interested in, what Brandon Mitsurugi was all about. How to do the combos, that kind of stuff, and why I would play Brandon Mitsurugi. So I guess I'm making this video to explain that, but mostly just because people were like, "Oh my gosh, you should make a video." And so I was like, okay, if you'll watch it." The thing with this is, as you can see, it's 60 cards. I shaved the branded engine down a little bit. I cut the perceived chaff. I cut down on I cut cards like branded in white, stuff like the Despia Tragedy and the Sark and the Foolish and stuff. I just didn't think they were very good. They did not come up in testing like at all. And so I cut them, and I said if they're really the right fit, they'll make their way back into the list. And they didn't, so here we are. The bridge from Branded to Mitsurugi is Evening Twilight Night, by the way. When it's banished from your grave, you search for habakiri, and this was kind of the source of confusion because people didn't really see the vision on how you would banish it from your graveyard, because the obvious answer is Albion, but there isn't a clean way to make a good fusion with Evening Twilight Night after you make Albion using Lubellion, because you have to send Evening Twilight Night for Lubellion because it's dark. But there are lines. You can also bridge from Mitsurugi to some amount of Brandon combos using Gigantic Champion Sargus, the rank 8 Springens card, to search Springens kit. But because you have to make an Xyz monster to do that, you're locked out of Branded Fusion, so you can only really do High Spirits combos. So I figured it wasn't really worth playing in the extra deck, so I opted to run a Chaos Star Source Dragon instead, which came up a lot. So, if you were trying to fit it, if you're really breaking on only Mitsurugi cards, first of all, it's not a brick, that's a full Mitsurugi combo. Second of all, I guess you can cut Alba Lanitus or something. It's whatever. The other thing of note about the deck list is that this bestial package on the side with Regained and the Magnum Worm, that's not supposed to be there. So initially these were supposed to be Meowls, because Meowls is very good. But unfortunately, they delayed the Legendary 5Ds decks, and I was not trying to pay for Meowls. So I scrambled to find an alternative. I settled on this because this card's theoretically good into Malice. People kept talking on Malice, but then it just didn't really matter. This card never came up. I sat it in once, and it didn't matter. So here's the kind of hand you're looking for. Basically, what you want is either a Despia for Aquarius, Strategia for Grand Guignol, or a Saronir or other Bestial, so that you don't have to use the Evening Twilight Night as fusion material. If you don't have any of these and you're going with literally just Branded Fusion and a discard, then you can just make Dragostapelia instead, and it all works out just fine. But if you don't do that, then you get to actually get the Albion End Phase trigger. So what I'm going to show you here is the Cartesia line, because I think that is one of the better ones. And it's also really accessible. So what you do is you normal the Cartesia, and then you Branded Fusion. You get Ashed, and you extend a Handshake if you're bad, but you win anyway if you are not bad. But I am bad, so, that's on me. So you summon your Lubellion, send the Albaz, and the Evening Twilight Night. And at this point, your opponent's wondering what the fuck is happening, as you go Lubellion effect, and then chain the Cartesia. So the Cartesia is going to fuse with the Lubellion into a Secretarian Dragon. There's maybe a better fusion you can summon here, but I don't know what it is, and I don't think that it's worth the extra spot. So then you fuse the Lubellion the Albaz into Albion. And then you can go Albion, banishing Evening Twilight Night, and Cartesia for Granguignol. Now here you get to do two things. You're going to go Chainlink 1 Evening Twilight Night, Chainlink 2 Granguignol. You don't really care about the Granguignol, but you do care about the Evening Twilight Night, so we're going to do that. So now you get to, with the Granguignol, assuming everything resolves, send the Bestial Lubellion if you want to, and then with the Evening Twilight Night, you start habakiri. At this point, your opponent's shitting bricks. But now you can go ahead and trade off the Albion for Lubellion, and then use the Lubellion to place Branded Lost. And now you can use the habakiri to summon the Saji. And I really like tributing Granguignol here, just to make my board a little bit better into Dark Ruler. Like, if they had an Imperm, they would have used it already, let's be real. Well, they probably wouldn't have, but who gives a shit? Worst case, if they do try to do some shit, like, you can kind of do some stuff with Secretarian, I guess. I don't know. If they hand trap you, they hand trap you. I just don't care. Also, if they're on Imperm in Yummy format, they're behind. So now you can go ahead and grab Ritual. I say they're behind. I don't actually. I didn't check the topping list. I'm rambling at this point. Then you go Ritual, tribute this, specialty Habakiri, the Mirakume rather, tributing the Habakiri, and the Habakiri searches for prayers. And now we have a pretty cool end board because we can set the prayers. And then in the end phase, the Albion triggers. And what we do is we can set a copy of the Fallen and the Virtuous. And now what we have, this doesn't look like a lot, and this looks really shitty, but the Granguignol will trigger to summon Quem, which triggers to summon, like, I don't know, it's there's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of stuff here. I mean, like, usually you're not doing exactly this because you have a fucking 5-card hand and it's all engine and it's all gas and you're doing crazy shit, you know? Like, what you could do is you can add this to your hand. You can go Fallen the Virtuous, send Titaniclad, pop the Lubellion, then trigger the Titaniclad, summon the Quem, and then the Albaz, which I like doing a good bit more, because now you have the Albaz live with the Quem, and then, you know, again, your board's Dark Ruler proof because of the Granguignol and the prayers, so everything meaningful is still live in the graveyard. And the lost triggers when you summon the Albaz and all that stuff. You have a bunch of options, a bunch of things that you can do, but this is just one way to trigger the Evening Twilight Night, which I feel like is the only part of the deck that doesn't really explain itself because it's fucking branded. We've had like what 5 years with Fallen of Albaz. You all should know how to play it branded by now. But yeah, that's just one line. So yeah, the deck's pretty cool. I like it. I have a lot of fun with it, and going into Burst Protocol, it's going to get even better with the new broken-ass Albaz, so, you know, that'll be fun. If you want to play it, hell yeah, please don't buy out Evening Twilight Night. I don't think I have that kind of influence, but after Raid Raptor, I have to be really, really sure. Okay, bye.